Hi girlies, and welcome back or welcome. I'm so happy that we could spend this moment together. I have to be honest, I have already filmed this video, but things didn't really go as planned. The camera cut off a few times and I lost like half of the footage. The rest of the footage was kind of confusing because it was only half of me speaking and the rest was kind of lost, so I'm gonna refilm it for you guys. I think the sun is kind of in my favor. Things are looking kind of good, so maybe it's a sign that I should just redo the whole video. I was editing the video, but something didn't feel quite right. So I was basically talking about a book that I'm reading that is called Have a Good Conflict. It's funny because I was in the video talking about the chapter that I had read in the book and how it correlated to the concepts of personality and conflict styles that I learned about in a course, and I talked about how I was reflecting upon this because I have one specific friend that I love that is such a dear friend to me, but we enter phases of conflict and it causes me to feel a little bit distressed in some of the moments, and I want to understand. And reading this book and thinking about it in a more productive way made me have a newfound vision about why we enter these states of conflict. And I think the easiest way for me to describe the concepts of the book before I describe the conclusion that I got to in my friendship is by describing it by how the lady that I did the course of kind of spirituality and those things, family constellation, described it, is that there's like three types of people. The book also says that. The book says that it's colors, red, blue, and green. And the lady says, just by the names, that one is called serene. Serene would be the blue. Loving would be the, no, sorry guys. Serene would be the green. Loving would be the blue. And power would be the red. So the way that the power slash red people react and live their lives is more like in an assertive way, in a putting yourself in their place, not putting in a more of a way of like won't be scared to fight you if they need to, assertive, speaks loudly, in more of like a powerful way, right? In a way of like assertiveness. And then the blue one is more like loving, nurturing, thinking about everybody's feelings and everybody's needs, and if everybody's needs are being met or not, and how the energies are flowing and everything that's happening. And the green is more like serene and like wants everything to be in according to order, and more like a stickler by the rules, wants everything to be nice and clean and neat and happening as it should and nothing too out of control, or I think it's like more in control, and wants to avoid conflict, doesn't want any type of altercation or anything. So that's more how this one would go. This one would approach conflicts more like in a loving way of like when the person is fighting, they're like, oh, like trying to understand what's happening and provide the person what they need and kind of like in that way. And I thought that was so interesting because when I did the course, the lady talked about it, and I thought that I was more serene. But I've also gone through stages in my life where I've been very powerful and red. I talked about it in the video that I'm not going to post, but I can say it to you guys also, that when I was young, I went through a lot of bullying, especially from like 9 to like 14. I went through a lot of bullying, and I had lived abroad basically all of my life. And then I moved back to Brazil, and I started dating a guy that a lot of people in my school really liked, and we were 10. Like, mind you that we were 10, so it wasn't that deep, but I started dating that guy. We literally never even like kissed. We like kissed on the cheek maybe, like. But that was enough for me to be like strongly hated on by lots of girls that were interested in this guy. They threw things at me. They picked me apart. They called me to their circle just to like be like screaming at me. For other reasons, people threw tampons at me, threw chicken nuggets at me and my friends. When me and my friends walked by, they clapped and sang ugly songs and pushed us, and honestly, it was insanity. And it also got me thinking that there's a trend now on TikTok that it's like, you're so funny, and then the person's like, thanks, and says something traumatic that happened to them. I feel like what I would, this has nothing to do. I had said in my other video made more sense, and I just went to see it because I said it in that one. But basically, what I would have done if I did the trend would be like, I am, you're so funny, thanks. My best friend when I was like young told me that when I was 9, asked me why I was the hairiest girl that he had ever met and why I was hairier than all of the guys, which led me to shave off my mustache because I had a mustache at the time, and shave off my monobrow, but I actually ended up shaving like most of my brow. So you guys can imagine the shock that I went through. But I think all of this and the bullying helped me develop character development. But I also think that the bullying in such a young age sent me into a I need to protect myself, so I need to be powerful. And now that I'm growing and I feel safer and I feel less attacked, and I don't think that even when people shout at me, I don't feel too much attacked by them because I can stand in my self worth and my peace of mind, and I know that for me, peace is everything. So I'm not gonna let my peace get like taken from me to like emerge in conflict with someone that I don't even really care to be in conflict with. So that's kind of maturing, I guess. But alongside the ways of like which area we fall into, there's also like the order of the colors and the types of beings that we engage in conflict in, which I thought was super interesting. Because then there's like stage 1 conflict, stage 2 conflict, and stage 3 conflict. I think my stage 1 conflict is serene. Like, I don't want to deal with the conflict. I want to pretend that this conflict isn't happening. If we can just both go on and living our lives and never talk about this again, it's better. And not the best way to deal, but the way that I deal. And then when people aren't letting me establish this order, when my order is being threatened in a way, I enter stage 2 that is like fully red, almost catching on fire, almost punching a wall. I've gotten better. I've gotten more serene, but I still feel it sometimes. I feel like I'm about to catch on fire. And then when that passes, I enter stage 3. That is like chaos, kicking and screaming, but also we can work to people that have our needs and necessities, and we can compromise and take care of each other and make sure that both of our needs are being met and overcome this conflict. Because in the roots, I'm serene, so I don't want to be in this conflict. So things have gotten heated. Now we need to circle back and overcome this conflict. What I thought was really fabulous about this, and I don't know if I mentioned that I was talking about my difficulties in relationships with all of my friends, and in the middle of like me editing that video and realizing that I had to redo it because it wasn't good enough, basically, that she texted me about something that we were having a little bit of conflict over, and then we really talked it out. And the way that she was talking was a little bit aggressive, and the way that I was running was very like loving. So maybe my first stage in conflict is the blue. I don't know. I have to think about it. I think it's a good homework for us to just think about this and think about our stages and how we identify ourselves, and think about the stages of the people that we have conflict with and how they identify themselves, and how we can avoid causing conflict in others, and how and acknowledge how others cause conflict in us, right? Because I think that's also very important, because there's things that we do that are just like protecting ourselves, or basically just normal to us, that cause conflict in others, and vice versa. So I think a good way for us to have a nice conflict and live a better overall life and have better relationships is by being able to understand ourselves, how we deal with conflict and how we deal with conflicting situations, and understanding how others view themselves and how others deal with the conflict. because then we can understand what would trigger us in the way that they live their lives and they deal with conflict, and how we can show up in a way that will harmonize their personality and how they deal with conflict, so we can just live a more harmonious life and have more harmonious relationships, which I think everybody wants. And nobody wants to be in conflict, nobody wants to be struggling and having a tough time and overall feeling frustrated. So I'm happy that I could share this message. The sun's coming down and I forgot to turn back on the lights. Oops. But yeah, I hope it's not too dark, and I hope this time I got the message across better. If yeah, if you enjoyed it, I hope that you could like and subscribe. I still feel a little bit uncomfortable saying that, maybe you guys can tell, but it would truly mean the world to me and help me out so much. So yeah, see you very soon. Love you, and hope that we can have better lives and have better conflicts.